unless you would like to have it. We are remodeling the bathroom and have to get rid of it to make room for the new tub, which will be delivered Monday. Henry thought it over. There were all sorts of interesting things he could do with a bathtub in his backyard. Wash his dog Ribsy in it, cool off in it himself on a hot day, bob for apples at Halloween, build a clubhouse around it if he had that much lumber, all sorts of things. A bathtub in the yard would be much more fun than a tub in the bathroom. But Henry was sure his mother would not feel the same way about it. "No, thank you, Mr. Grumby," Henry said with regret. And then he had a better idea. The new bathtub would come in a crate, and perhaps Mr. Grumby would let him have the boards to build a doghouse. By that time, several neighbors had come over to the Grumbys to watch. Even Ribsy had taken an interest and had come down from the Huggins doormat where he had been napping. Mr. Grumby tied a rope around the tub, and with the help of Henry and the bystanders who hung onto the rope, eased the tub, bump, 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 down the front steps, slid it across the lawn, and then boosted it onto the trailer, where Mr. Grumby tied it securely. "Want to go for a ride to the dump?" Mr. Grumby asked Henry. The dump! Immediately, Henry pictured a fascinating jumble of old bathtubs, washing machines, tires, and baby buggies. There was no telling what he might find at the dump. There might even be some old boards he could bring home. "Can I ride in the bathtub?" he asked eagerly. "Sure." Mr. Grumby was agreeable. "Go ask your mother." Henry ran to the open kitchen window. "Hey, Mom! Mr. Grumby wants me to ride to the dump with him. Can I go?" "All right, Henry," Mrs. Huggins' voice came through the window. "Come on, Ribsy." Henry bounded across the lawn and climbed into the bathtub. Ribsy scrambled in behind him. "All set?" asked Mr. Grumby, opening the door of his car. "All set," answered Henry, and Mr. Grumby maneuvered the car and trailer down the driveway and into the street. Riding in a bathtub, which of course had no springs or upholstery, was bumpy. But Henry did not care. No one else in the neighborhood had ever gone for a ride in a bathtub. He shouted and waved to his friends Scooter and Robert, who were playing catch on the sidewalk. They stared after him in surprise. Ribsy put his paws on the edge of the tub and barked. When Mr. Grumby stopped at the first stop sign, Henry saw his friend Beezus and her little sister Ramona, who had a lot of string stuck to her chin with Scotch tape. Henry guessed she was trying to copy one of the many disguises of Sheriff Bud on television. Ramona never missed the Sheriff Bud program. "Hi," called Henry. "Hello, Henry." Beezus looked with admiration at Henry in the bathtub. He could tell she wished she could go for a ride in a bathtub, too. Ramona scowled ferociously and pointed straight at Henry. "Remember, only you can prevent forest fires." Henry ignored Ramona. He knew she was only repeating what she had heard Smokey Bear say on television all summer. "So long," he called to Beezus as Mr. Grumby drove on. Ribsy, tired of barking over the edge of the tub, curled up and tried to go to sleep. But whenever the trailer went over a bump, he lifted his head and looked annoyed. In the bathtub, little bumps felt like big bumps. They rumbled and bumped down Klickitat Street to a main thoroughfare. And then Henry had an idea. He was the President of the United States riding in a parade. He sat up straight in the bathtub, nodding and waving and doffing an imaginary hat. Mr. Grumby's car became a column of tanks preceding him down the avenue, and one airplane in the sky became a formation of fighter planes overhead. Henry could practically hear the cheers of the throngs crowded along the curbs to watch his journey to the White House. Henry did, in fact, hear a few real cheers, or perhaps jeers was a better word, mostly from boys along the way. "Hey, don't forget to wash your back." "Be careful, don't step on the soap." With great dignity, Henry nodded and waved. A great man on his way to the White House could afford to ignore such people, especially when he was surrounded by Secret Service men. Henry was having too much fun to act dignified very long. He saw several boys standing in front of a bicycle shop and could not resist waving and shouting, "Hats off! The flag is passing by!" "Boo!" yelled the boys. "Boo! Boo!"